Money is powerful. It can create bridges, schools, hospitals, and dreams of prosperity. But money can also destroy when it comes with strings attached, hidden interest, and long-term traps. Across Asia, several countries are now learning this lesson the hard way. In today's video, we explore 10 Asian nations pushed to the edge by enormous debts, unstable growth, and fragile economies. These are places where governments borrowed heavily, sometimes to modernize, sometimes to keep people happy, and sometimes just to stay afloat. But debts have piled up, and the bills are now due. From small islands that survive on tourists to landlocked states that pinned all their hopes on one industry, these nations are struggling. For many ordinary families, the crisis isn't about complex financial charts, it's about paying for food, fuel, medicine, or keeping the lights on. So, let's begin our countdown. At number 10, we start with a quiet country in Southeast Asia that dreamed of becoming a regional hub, but may have borrowed too much, too fast. Number 10, Laos. Laos is a landlocked nation, surrounded by larger and more powerful neighbors like China, Vietnam, and Thailand. For years, the government believed that massive infrastructure projects could transform the country into a key player in regional trade. One of the most ambitious efforts was the China-Laos high-speed railway. The idea was simple: connect Laos to China, open trade routes, and attract business. Alongside this, the country built large hydropower dams, hoping to export electricity to neighboring nations. But here's the problem. The projects cost billions. Much of that money came from loans, often borrowed from China. The expectation was that profits from rail and electricity exports would repay the loans. Reality has been far harsher. The Laotian kip has fallen in value, making imports more expensive. Fuel, food, and medicine now cost more than ever, and wages haven't kept up. Families feel the strain daily. The hydropower sales haven't produced the windfall planners expected, and the railway's benefits are slow to arrive. For many ordinary citizens, the question is simple: was it worth it? Did these shiny projects actually help, or did they bury Laos in decades of debt? Number 9. Mongolia. Mongolia is a land of vast steppes and endless skies, but beneath the ground lies the real treasure: coal, copper, and minerals. For years, mining fueled Mongolia's economy, creating jobs and bringing in foreign money. But depending too heavily on one sector is dangerous. When global commodity prices fell, Mongolia's income crashed with them. Suddenly, the government couldn't collect enough revenue, and debt grew. To avoid collapse, Mongolia turned repeatedly to the International Monetary Fund for bailouts. While these loans kept the country afloat, they came with tough conditions: austerity measures, spending cuts, and reforms that often hit ordinary families. The local currency, the tugrug, lost value, making imports like food and fuel more costly. Businesses struggled, and many small shops closed. The bigger problem is structural. Mongolia relies on just a few exports. That means when the global market shakes, Mongolia feels an earthquake. The country's challenge now is to diversify its economy. Without it, Mongolia risks being trapped in a cycle of booms and busts, and more bailouts. Number 8. Pakistan. Pakistan is no stranger to financial crises. The country has faced repeated balance of payments problems, forcing it to return to the IMF again and again. The core issue is simple: Pakistan imports more than it exports. This trade imbalance drains foreign currency reserves, leaving little money to pay for essentials like fuel or raw materials. To ease the burden on ordinary people, the government provides large subsidies, especially for energy. While these subsidies are vital for millions of families, they cost the state billions, money the government doesn't really have. Each bailout from the IMF provides temporary relief but also demands reforms, raising taxes, cutting subsidies, and improving governance. Yet these measures are politically unpopular. When subsidies are cut, prices of gas and electricity rise, sparking public anger. Pakistan's long-term survival depends on growing exports, reforming its energy sector, and reducing reliance on foreign loans. Without real reforms, the country risks repeating the same cycle endlessly: borrow, bail out, struggle, and borrow again. Number 7. Sri Lanka. Few countries illustrate the dangers of overborrowing as clearly as Sri Lanka. For years, the government borrowed heavily to finance large infrastructure projects, airports, highways, and ports. At the same time, subsidies kept goods affordable, but these policies added more debt. In 2022, the bubble burst. Sri Lanka suffered a historic default, Foreign reserves ran out, fuel stations closed, supermarket shelves emptied, and angry citizens took to the streets. Tourism, once a vital source of income, collapsed during the crisis. People faced hours-long lines for essentials like cooking gas, while electricity shortages became common. Political turmoil deepened the crisis, scaring away investors and delaying recovery. Sri Lanka's experience is a painful warning. Borrowing without a strong repayment plan can destroy an economy. Recovery is possible, but it requires tough reforms, international support, and a willingness to make painful changes. Number 6. Myanmar. Myanmar's economy has been battered not just by debt, but by political instability and international sanctions. After the military takeover in 2021, many foreign investors pulled out. Sanctions cut off access to global markets, and the country's kyat currency lost value sharply. Imported goods became expensive, and ordinary citizens found it harder to buy daily necessities. Many businesses closed or went underground into the informal economy, where the government collects little tax. This weakens public finances, leaving fewer resources for schools, hospitals, and services. Inflation further eats away at purchasing power. Without foreign partners and with limited investor confidence, Myanmar's economy faces a long and uncertain recovery. Until stability returns, the country will struggle to rebuild trust, attract investment, and pay its debts. Number 5. Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan, a small Central Asian nation, rarely makes headlines, but beneath the surface, its economy is fragile. The government has taken on large loans from regional partners to build roads, power plants, and infrastructure. While these projects are important, the debt is mounting. At the same time, Kyrgyzstan depends heavily on remittances, money sent home by citizens working abroad, mainly in Russia. When jobs abroad shrink or exchange rates fall, families in Kyrgyzstan feel it immediately. The country's exports are narrow, leaving little room to absorb global shocks. Even small changes in global markets can have big effects at home. If Kyrgyzstan cannot strengthen its domestic economy and reduce reliance on remittances, debt pressure could quickly spiral into a larger crisis. Number 4. Bangladesh. Bangladesh is often praised as a development success story. Its textile industry turned the nation into one of the world's leading garment exporters, creating jobs and lifting millions out of poverty. But, rapid growth has also created new vulnerabilities. Recently, foreign currency shortages have made it hard to import fuel and raw materials. Power outages have slowed factories, while supply chain issues force some plants to cut production. The banking sector is also weak. Bad loans and poor oversight limit credit for small businesses, choking entrepreneurship. Without strong financial reforms, these weaknesses could deepen. Bangladesh's challenge is clear. It must diversify beyond textiles and build stronger financial institutions. If not, its growth story could stumble. Number 3. Lebanon. Lebanon's collapse is one of the most severe in modern history. Years of corruption, weak governance, and reckless finance collapsed, erasing incomes and sending prices for food, fuel, and medicine soaring. Political gridlock has prevented meaningful reforms, while foreign aid remains tied up in conditions. For many families, life shifted from middle-class stability to daily survival almost overnight. Lebanon's road to recovery requires restoring trust in banks and government, but that is easier said than done. The scars of the collapse will remain for a generation. Number 2. The Maldives. The Maldives, a paradise for tourists, but, beneath those picturesque palm trees lies a rather fragile economy. Nearly all of the nation's income, it depends heavily on tourism. So, when global travel slows down, whether it's due to pandemics, recessions, or natural disasters, the Maldives suffers instantly. Resorts close, workers lose their wages, and oh boy, foreign currency inflows shrink. To modernize the government, they borrowed heavily for infrastructure. But these loans, they just added to the debt pile. Meanwhile, climate change is threatening the islands with rising seas, forcing, costly investments in protection and adaptation. The Maldives faces a unique dilemma: how to balance tourism dependence, rising debt, and climate risks all at once. It's quite the challenge, really. Number 1. Vietnam. Vietnam has been hailed as one of Asia's great success stories. Over the past 2 decades, it transformed from a war-scarred nation into a hub of factories. Local governments and private firms have accumulated large debts, some of which are not fully reported. The real estate boom has produced countless new projects, but many now sit empty. If property prices fall, banks with heavy exposure could face serious trouble. Combined with rising private sector borrowing, Vietnam risks facing a financial storm if growth slows. The challenge for Vietnam is to balance its impressive development with tighter oversight, more transparency, and better regulation. Otherwise, the rapid rise could lead to an equally rapid fall. These 10 nations may look very different. Some are small islands, others are vast steppes. Some depend on tourism, others on mining or textiles. But they share a dangerous pattern: too much debt and too little cushion. For ordinary people, debt isn't just a government number. It means higher prices, fewer jobs, longer queues, and less hope. Families feel the weight of debt long before a national default makes headlines. Some countries may find a way out with reforms, foreign investment, or careful planning. The global lesson is clear. Debt can build dreams, but it can also bury them. And watching the video. Be sure to like, comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel and press the notification bell icon to get new video updates. Your support is invaluable to us. Thank you.